Abby, could you confirm that you can hear us and everything seems okay?
Hi, yes, we can hear you now and we can see you now.
But you did not catch the item that we read into the record or the beginning of the presentation?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and just read it in again just to be safe. All right. So this is public hearing item number 8, LPC 23-02961, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Queens, Block 149, Lot 42, 3910 47th Street in the Sunnyside Gardens Historic District, a colonial revival style row house designed by Clarence Stein, Henry Wright, and Frederick Ackerman, built in 1925. The application is to legalize coating the rear facade without LPC permits.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Commissioners. Leanne Pollock, Preservation Staff. This item is 3910 48th Street in Sunnyside Gardens. The owner is seeking to legalize a waterproof coating that was applied to their rear facade without permits. The house is located on 48th Street between Skillman and 39th Avenue and Hamilton Court. There is an opening and a low wall at the northern area of the court along 39th Avenue, and the house is located 5 in from the street. On the left is the facade condition in 2008, where you can see exposed brickwork at the rear facade. A previous owner applied what we think was an elastomeric coating to the facade prior to 2020, which is pictured on the right. This condition was discovered when the current and new owner applied for a permit to change a masonry opening at the rear facade and to install a patio. When the current owners applied for a sign off for that masonry work, the entire rear facade had been recoated. The contractor confirmed that they did use a new coating of elastomeric paint. The owners worked with Sunnyside Masonry to perform a few tests for removal of the coatings, and none were successful in uncovering the underlying brick. The mason used a variety of methods, from water and scraping to paint strippers in differing dwell times, and the owner can speak more to the various methods tried at the end of this overview. There is limited access to the interior green space, and given the location of the subject house 5 buildings in from 39th Avenue, visibility from the street is limited. The subject house is identified by the red arrow. The yellow arrow identifies the adjacent house, which had a coating applied to the rear facade prior to the building's designation. These views are all taken from inside that central green space, which is only accessible to residents of the court. You can see the typical conditions of rear facades in the Sunnyside Gardens Historic District is exposed brickwork. There are a few examples of coated rear facades in the district. This picture is of the adjacent building at 3908 47th Street, which again was coated prior to designation. This is a house across Hamilton Court from the subject property, which was previously coated in stucco. There's another facade that's visible from 48th Street. However, it's unclear when this facade was coated. And then there's another building also across Hamilton Court from the subject property that has a coating applied only to the parapet area. So in conclusion, the application is to legalize the rear facade coating as installed and as pictured on the right. And the owner, Drew Cooper, is here and would like to say a few final remarks and answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. Please come up and state your name.
Hello, I'm Drew Cooper. Thank you for your time. I'm the owner at 3910 47th Street. Yeah, essentially, when we purchased the home, there was the coating on it, and we don't like it. We don't really want it there, but it sort of just is the situation. So,
Do you want to speak a little bit to your attempts to remove it?
So we worked with Sunnyside Masonry using first like an acid solution that they use a lot, and it was pretty much unsuccessful. Then we used 2 different paint removers by well, I can use this, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, great. Oh. Yes, then we used 2 different paint strippers by Clean Strip that also was recommended to us. And one of them uses a one of them is just an aerosol, and the other one is actually a brush that you use this paper stripper, and it's a time process, which I think there should have been a photo in there of that. Anyway, so yeah, you leave the paper on. I think that was this one right here. Yeah, you leave the paper on and then for 24 hours, and then you remove it. And essentially, I mean, it was just a very abrasive process and would completely destroy the brick. There's also an example on 45th Street where a front facade has been coated fully, and they tried to remove the paint and it's been completely unsuccessful. And you can see that. And we don't have pictures of that because they've just been attempting to remove the paint recently, but yeah, that's sort of situation.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? All right, let's see if we have any public testimony. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak on this item? Noting that there is no one in the room to speak on this item, I'll turn it over to Gregory Collett to take us through any remote participants.
Thank you, Chair Carroll. We received one sign up in advance for this item, that being Michelle Arbalou from the Historic Districts Council. So Michelle Arbalou, I'm promoting you to panelist right now. And if you could please unmute your line and state your name for the record, you will have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Hello, Michelle Arbalou for the Historic Council. HGC does not support the legalization of the coating of the rear facade of this masonry building. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I do not see any further hands raised in the attendees list, so I will just note for the record that Queens Community Board 2 recommends approval, and I'll bring it back to you, Chair Carroll.
Okay, thank you. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we move to our discussion? If so, just come up to the mic so that the Zoom can pick you up.
Okay. I guess just really quickly, I would like to add that the rear facade really is hardly visible from the street, especially during summer, spring, and fall. It's really only visible during winter and hardly at that. And once again, I would just like to point that there are a lot of cases of coatings on rear facade in the Sunnyside Gardens. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, any final questions? All right, we'll move to close the hearing. Commissioner Chen, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So
And Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the hearing's closed and we'll begin our discussion. This is the unfortunate situation when a coating has been applied and is not easily reversible. It was applied by a prior owner. As this owner has stated, they would like to remove it and have attempted to, but are afraid of causing any further damage to the brick. So they're proposing to legalize it as is. So we'll begin our discussion. Commissioner Chapin, would you like to start this one? Well, Jackson Heights is very similar.
Well, the only good thing about this is that the current owner is not responsible and didn't intend this, thank heavens. It's, it is very unfortunate. And also the color seems to be particularly, looks like a fire engine red or something. I mean, if it had been a little different color, at least it would not be quite so, call so much attention to itself. And I appreciate they've been trying to remove it. We'll hear from others on the panel who may have more technical expertise, but I assume that there just isn't any way to deal with this. And so we're in a position where we're sort of forced to legalize it because we don't want to, injure the current owner who's, in good faith did not do anything.
And it is limited.
A lot of
very limited.
general, it's interesting, this discussion of this material to begin with, because I've often heard some of the members of the panel in the past, be very much against coating anything. Of course, you don't want to coat things unless they need it. Number one, living in over 100-year-old building myself, and those buildings in most of Jackson Heights have not been coated, and the brick is doing just fine. So it's very unfortunate when these things happen. But we're here, and unless someone has a solution to recommend, I am certainly prepared to legalize it for the benefit of the current owner.
Yeah, and I think also to ensure that we don't do further damage to the brick. And I think the other positive is that its view is so limited from a public way. Okay, Commissioner Goldman.
Sorry, I missed that. I'm feeling the absence of our former Commissioner Devonshire right now. We need someone who knows the chemistry of this. But I have a sneaking suspicion that you can't go back again with this kind of thing, and it really sucks. It's really unfortunate because it's totally inappropriate. And I think by granting an approval for this because it was a sin of a previous owner, and this owner tried his best to get rid of it, it's like it does not leave a good taste in the mouth. But I can't see what benefit penalizing this owner would have. It would not, incentivize him to change the situation because it appears that it isn't changeable. I would say, however, this is an area where staff might be able to assist by reaching out to people who do know the chemistry and maybe determine for sure that there is no way to remove it, because it certainly should be removed if it is possible. But I would not oppose approving this resolution if that determination were made.
Thank you. And the staff does have a lot of experience with these coatings, and there are some that just chemically bond with the brick and are not reversible. And there are others that are reversible. And so, yeah. Commissioner Ginsburg.
So I agree with everything, and I appreciate your trying to remove it. I might suggest there's a company called Prosoco who has a lot of products and typically will come out and visit and do tests to see if it could be removed. But if it can't be removed without damaging the brick, it can't be removed, and then we got to live with it. And you have to live with it. But I do appreciate your efforts in trying to resolve this.
Thank you, Commissioner Chen.
Yeah, I'm on like some professor who's one of the right who called the guy to New York City, and he has a famous quote about applying to it's like applying to a lady's face. Why would you do it? And that was his point. And so it is. I concur with all the comments. It's totally unfortunate. It's unnecessary. And I'm like Michael. If there's a way to remove it, I would not be voting for it.
Okay, Commissioner Lutfi.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I mean, given this and the fact that we had, an applicant who wanted to use it this morning, I mean, on an old building. I mean, is this something that we want to approve? I mean,
I think
now I feel like whatever I said, I want to take it back if it wasn't no.
Well, this morning, we actually asked him to try to remove it to the extent possible and patch it, and then understand the condition and work with the staff before determining the final coating. Because I think we do have similar concerns. That in that case, it was previously coated with what he believed could not be removed as well. So I think if you have something that can't be removed, I guess the question is, do you perpetuate that? Do you add another layer, or do you just leave it as is?
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like this is always going to be when it presents itself, unless somebody comes up with a miracle product that can remove it. It's always going to be on a case by case basis. And given Mark's recommendation, I would think it's worth trying. And if staff agrees, I don't know. And if not, I can approve this because you certainly are trying.
Yeah, and we can take another look with Prosecco. I mean, that is a product that the staff is very familiar with. I'm not sure that they have anything to remove this, but we'll look into that as we work with the applicant. Commissioner Master.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with what all the other commissioners have said. It's unfortunate. I don't really have anything else to add.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Well, when I read this over the weekend, I thought, okay, it's there now. So what's the big issue? It's the color, right? And then why not recode it? But then I found out that you can't recode it because it's already, the brick is already damaged. By adding another layer, you're damaging it. So then we have to think about, is the coating color that bad? And I came down and decided that it's okay to keep it.
Okay, thank you. I think it is, as Commissioner Chapin said, a little bit bright red, but at least it's a red that could blend with the rest of the.
And as the applicant stated, it is in the, it's not visible to the public way, though, of course, community of Sunnyside Gardens means that, the neighbors and everyone are going to see it anyway, but sometimes other people might even see it, but it's not at least on the front facade of the house, which is a blessing. But anyway.
Yes, it's not on the front. It's minimally visible from the public way anyway. And I share Commissioner Jefferson's concerns about multiple layers and trying to correct that. So
one question, can the white stuff be removed? I forget the technical name for it. The white.
The white trim?
The white.
You mean the stuff that came from there?
Is that, can that be removed?
Efflorescence?
Yeah, typically there are cleaners that you can use to remove it. And but that comes from the salts in the mortar. Right. And so you may have to do it with some regularity.
I think the images that showed what appeared to be the efflorescence was just some of the residue from their paint removal attempts. I don't think the facade suffers from that overall.
Right. So those are from the tests. Okay. So Commissioner Chapin, would you make a motion to approve it? And we will ask them to just look into Prosecco to see if there's any product that they think might help. But other than that, we'll approve it.
I don't have to read that in now or do it.
No,
okay. Remember, certificate of appropriateness, Borough of Queens, LPC 2302-961, 39-10 47th Avenue Street, Sunnyside Gardens Historic District, colonial revival style row house designed by Clarence Stein, Henry Wright, and Frederick Ackerman, and built in 1925. Application is to legalize coating the rear facade without Landmarks Preservation Committee permits. I note that the building style, scale, materials, details, and siting are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Sunnyside Gardens Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that efforts to remove the coating using various chemical paint strippers have been unsuccessful, and that more aggressive methods would cause damage to the underlying brick. That previous alterations to masonry openings at the rear facade may not have used matching brick or tooth connections, and this irregular condition is obscured by the coating. That the building is located toward the middle of the row, so the rear facade is only seasonally visible from the public thoroughfare to the north of on 39th Avenue, and is seen within the context of the adjacent rear facade, which was coated prior to designation. that the red finish of the coating relates to the dark red color of the underlying masonry and therefore does not draw undue attention to itself, and that adding another layer of coating with a more accurate color match would make the coating less breathable and more deleterious to the masonry. And that therefore it is not feasible to restore the conditions of the original exposed brick facade, and the visual effect of the work and its impact to the character of the historic district is limited.
Thank you. And Commissioner Master, would you second that motion?
Second?
All right.
Chair Carroll,
Aye.
Commissioner Chapin,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg. Aye. Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson. Aye. Commissioner Lutfi.
Aye.
Commissioner Master.
Aye.
With 8 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, so that's approved. Thank you. We'll move to the next item.
The next and last item is public meeting item number 1, LPC 21-09932. An application for certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Queens, block 8043, lot 49, 115 Park Lane in the Douglas Historic District. This is a colonial revival bungalow style freestanding house designed by Norman McClashen and built in 1914. The application is to legalize construction of additions and related alterations completed in non-compliance with C of A 06-9207. This was last presented at the public hearing of November 23rd, 2021, and no action was taken at that time. The staff will be presenting the revisions. I believe the architect or owner is also here to answer questions, so we should open the proceedings.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Lisa Schaefer, Preservation Staff. I'm just going to go ahead a little just so I can show those of you who are unfamiliar with this, what the original proposal was. So originally, what was approved is on the left. And the center part is the original house, and the commission approved an addition on either side, as well as some landscape alterations and some alterations at the rear. And this was quite a while ago, and they came in for a sign off, and we noted that there were a number of items in non-compliance with that original permit. So this list here on the right, these 8 items are what they originally came in with to legalize. And since then, they have corrected 4 of them. So I'm going to take you through the items that have been corrected. Firstly, the entrance it had an arched top, which sort of required removing part of the molding. So that the arch has been removed, and the molding has been restored. And additionally, they also painted the framing around the side lights and the door to be consistent with other trim on the house. On the porch at the bottom, you can see originally when they came in, they had not put a railing on the right side of the porch. It was only on the left side. So they had put the railing on the right side now to match the other side. And another item had to do with the railings at the steps to the porch, as well as on the path up to the porch, which had these kind of curvilinear pickets, which the commissioners found were not appropriate. And so they went ahead and replaced the pickets on the steps with just straight ones, which is something was there previous to construction on the previous stoop. And at the path, they just removed the pickets altogether. So it's just a very simplified railing. And then the other item number 4 is there was a vinyl fence in the rear yard, which has since been replaced at the top with a painted wooden fence. So the other 4 items are what they would like to legalize. One of them is stone cladding at the base of the building, a mechanical unit at the front facade, the raising of the roof and a large arched window on the rear, and expansion of the paving at the driveway. So the mechanical unit is behind these bushes. We don't, at staff level, we don't approve mechanical units in front of the facade. But this one is extremely well concealed. You cannot see it from the street. The other item was the expansion of the driveway paving, which I'll show you on the site plan. And the cladding of the base, which was originally stucco, and now they clad it with stone. So here you can see it was supposed to be a stucco base. And I wanted to point out that at the hearing, there was discussion about the excavation of the base at the porch and the west wing, which is, this is the west wing here, that it had been significantly increased from the approved work. And I just want to clarify that this was the location of the original driveway, which I will jump ahead and show you. So this was pre-construction. So as you can see, you already were able to see that whole side of the porch at that time. So the excavation that occurred was because of the removal of a retaining wall at the side of that driveway so that it could slope down to the driveway. Back to the elevation. Here we go. So here, this is what was shown in the original drawings, and then this is now sloped down like so. So on the rear, this is again on the left what was approved, and on the right as built. And as you can see in the center here, a portion of the roof was raised and an arched window installed there. And here you can see it. This is from the rear yard. And the only place it's visible is from around the block through the driveway of the house, where you can only see it in the winter time when there are no leaves on the trees. And if you were when there are leaves on the trees, it's completely concealed.
And Lisa, just to clarify on the excavation, I think that the elevations were confusing because I think in the grade is the same as it was before any work was done. And then we approved in the original plans, filling it in, backfilling it to make the grade higher, right? Is that right?
Yeah, Lisa, if you could put the elevations up there again, I can try to also just.
And I think they just didn't do that.
Right, so on the image, on the drawing on the left, right, you can see that to the left of the door to enter the low level of the new wing, there was a small retaining wall and additional earth, and that was proposed to be new because that used to be where that garage was that we showed you earlier. So they did not do that work. They did move the door over, but it was still already at that time excavated in that area. So they did not do that additional infill, and I think there was some misunderstanding last time that they scooped out all of that area and expose the side of the porch.
Okay.
All right. I think
Okay, so this is showing the mechanical unit at the front facade, just showing that it's pretty much encased in bushes. And so the rear.
All right. I think
And pretty much is.
that's it. Commissioners.
One other thing.
That's great.
Just this was the original driveway here on the left, and just shows the expansion, which was mostly to the rear, and just another little path was added at this point. So those are the four.
All right. Any questions, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Ginsburg.
Why didn't they resolve these other issues? Did they just not want to, or did they have physical reasons they couldn't, or?
We'll have to open it up for the applicant. So Commissioner Ginsburg, would you make a motion to open the proceedings?
So moved.
And Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Philip, you may go ahead and speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Philip Metropolis. I'm the architect, the original architect as well. I got appointed from 2006. Why didn't your question is why didn't it resolve from our 2021 hearing to today? I wish I had a good answer for you. The material is intact. I've spoken to the homeowner about trying to remove some of the materials, and he says he feels he used what was appropriate. He felt they were appropriate materials that he used. As far as the driveway goes, originally this house had 2 driveways. There was an internal garage with a single car driveway, and this was 2 lots where it had a 2-car garage on this adjoining lot that had a 2-car wide driveway. So there really was 3 full car widths of driveway pre-existing prior to designation. We got the demolition of the garage approved, and we could join the 2 properties, and he went back with the driveway. Why did he build a big driveway? He has 6 children, and I can't explain any more than that. As far as the larger window at the rear, that was a change unbeknownst to me. And when I'm a native of Douglaston, I'm born and raised there. I practiced there. I lived there. When everyone was considering trying to get Douglaston added to the historic district, we were told, oh, the rear of the property isn't going to be, you'll be able to do what you want in the rear of your property, so on and so forth. We all know now that's not necessarily the case. This house was pretty early on. It was 10 years into the historic district. It was a major alteration. All that was left of this original house was the 3 front walls of the main building. We took everything down. We got it. The staff asked me yesterday if I could find some more photographs prior to construction, which I did, looking at these 2005 photographs. And then I found some of my construction photos. We tore the place to shred, absolutely tore it to shred. And so he did invest a lot of money. He really substantially altered his property. It's a gigantic piece of property. As far as, like I said, on the porch, I've asked him, would you consider taking that stone off the porch? He said, I really love that stone on the porch. I put it on there. I thought it was a legitimate, it's not a synthetic material. It's a real blue stone. And so.
Okay. And I think the other thing to note is that when we first saw this at the original hearing, there were 8 items that were in violation and they were seeking legalization of. And the 4 of those, the commissioners unanimously opposed them. And so those 4 are the ones that the applicant has worked with the staff to correct at staff level. The other remaining 4 issues, the driveway, the mechanical unit, the window at the rear, and the stone, we had mixed comments from the commissioners. And so I think that is partly why they thought they would come back with more information, show what it looks like now that all the plantings are in.
And as far as the generator, DOB has already signed off the gas work. The piece of mechanical equipment is the generator. It was set back, it's outside the front yard setback. It is completely concealed, and plumbing has been signed off.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, and yes.
So you're saying that the 8 items, 4 were discussed earlier.
No, well, we discussed all 8 at the original public hearing. And at that time, 4 of those items had unanimous opposition from the commission. So those 4 items, they decided to resolve at staff level. So there were only 4 items before us today. And of those 4 items, there were mixed comments at the hearing. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't see on the list of things that they didn't do. It's older. Isn't one of them this arched window in the back?
Yes, they just presented that.
But it's not on this list of things that weren't correct.
Large arched window and raised.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, sorry. No. Okay.
And as Lisa pointed out, it's got limited visibility. All right. Any other questions? All right, let's begin our discussion, and not just since I've been reminding us all of how the hearing went. So we know that the items that everybody strongly opposed are no longer before us and have been resolved at staff level. So of the four items, there was the driveway, which at the time actually had unanimous support from the commission, all the commissioners present. And I think that was largely because it was mostly extended to the back. And again, there's limited visibility from the street and nobody found that additional path to detract from the site. And so, and I think that, I agree with those findings and those thoughts. The generator at the front, some noted that it would be concealed by planting, but, others were concerned that might not. And I think that the applicant represented at the time that it would be surrounded by evergreen planting. And now that we have photos that show all those plantings in, and I think it really does show that that is really not perceptible at all and consistent with kinds of the situations when we do approve units at the front. The stone veneer at the base, at the foundation, I think there was a lot of confusion last time about the grade change. And I think we thought that they had excavated more, revealing more facade. And now we know that's not the case. And I think that the stone, it is real stone. It's not fake stone. And it is similar to other foundation materials found throughout the district. And I think the raised dormer and arched window at the rear, again, commissioners last time noted that it was limited in visibility. And I appreciate the additional photos today to show the winter view as well. And I think even that view in the winter is pretty minimal and you don't see it in the context of the whole building. And I don't think it detracts from this building or the adjacent buildings. So I think the applicant has made some efforts here. Commissioner Lutfi?
No, you shouldn't start.
I started with myself.
I mean, I'm happy to say, because I'm going to say it anyway. And even though, first of all, how ridiculous on some level that there would be so many things that the owner didn't comply with. I think I can accept everything except I really don't accept the arched window and the raised roof. I mean, I understand that it's not visible, but if you look at the drawings of, what we had approved, which was very nice. So that's my feeling. I could do everything but that.
Okay. Commissioner Master?
Yeah, it's a shame that we're at this point. However, I think that starting with the mechanicals, they're very well hidden. I think that I could approve that. The expanded driveway, I think that's fine. It's minimally visible. And the third one was the stone. Oh, the stone, you really can't see it from the front that much. And I think it's more indicative of houses in the district. So I think that's fine. The arched window in the rear, it would have been nice if they had followed the original plan. However, I think that there is limited visibility. It is in the rear, and I don't think it's out of character as well. So I think I can approve all of these changes.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Jefferson?
I can't approve any of this.
Okay. Commissioner Chapin?
Okay, so the driveway, I think, is because the larger part is in the back, that's not really an issue, as I think you said, commissioners felt earlier. The generator is temporary in placement and as well hidden. And the stone facing is something that is not atypical of the district. So if we had seen it from the beginning, I think we could have approved it. So I'm okay with all of those things. I share Commissioner Lufty's feelings about that, the whole changing the roof line and the window in the back. But I don't know what at this point could be done to remedy such a thing. So, but you know, I find that, and yeah, I know it's not visible, but every time we approve things in Douglaston, there are things that aren't that visible, and we don't just say, okay, do whatever you want with the back of the house because we don't care. So I feel a bit whatever about that. Anyway, so that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Goldblum.
Okay. I am okay with the generator. We have approved in the past generators that are visible from the street with screening. I'm okay with the stone, the reasons already stated. I agree with everyone about the arched window. It's completely inappropriate. And you know what they can do? They can fix it. And my biggest concern, I don't remember maybe I was having a bad day or something, but my biggest concern has to do with the paving. And it's because of a project that we saw earlier, where there was a similar concern raised that one of the unique features of this particular district is the quantity of green space and kind of natural quality to the sites. And I think that this one, and actually there are two projects where we had the same kind of comments about it. The degree of paving that was added on this project to me was not consistent with the original approval, and it is considerable. So I think that I mean, if you not only have the driveway, but it looks like you have an extended patio instead of the wood deck off the pool. So I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of a bit run amok for me in terms of the quantity of impervious surface. Apart from the environmental reasons not to do that, I think it's the nature of the district that I'm concerned with.
Okay, Commissioner Ginsburg.
So I was not on the commission when this came last. So to some degree, I'm going to defer to my fellow commissioners, but I have to say, before I was on the commission and was doing work that went to landmarks, I would tell the client and the contractor, this isn't like a normal DOB job where you can just change things. You have to, if you want to change something, you got to go back and you're not going to want to. And I believe in following the rules. And if they wanted to make changes, and this well may have happened without the architect knowing, I know that happens too. So in general, I'm supportive of particularly the dormer, as Commissioner Lufty mentioned, and I also agree with Commissioner Goldblum on the parking that less hardscape would be better. But I will vote with however the other commissioners who were here before were, since I was not involved previously.
Okay. Commissioner Chen.
No.
Yeah, so let's do the easy part. Obviously, the generator is not an issue. Just unless you have X-ray eyes that you can see behind it with the heat thermal detection. The stone cladding, I can let it skip, deem appropriate. I would defer to the majority here on, whether you want to insist on the original window design or, I can't argue with the greenscape. Douglaston is renowned for its beauty of the greenery and unnatural. It's not like you go out to Long Island and you have just giant driveways and wide expanse. So, so I like to listen.
Okay. So I'm sorry, what did you say on the driveway?
I'm saying that, the point is well taken with Michael Goldblum and Commissioner Ginsburg about that. Douglaston is renowned for its, natural greenery and beauty. And so this type of wide driveway is kind of out of character.
Okay. All right, so I think the way that what we've got today is we've got enough to support the HVAC and the stone wall, and not enough quite to support the driveway despite the unanimous support last time. And not enough to support the window at the rear. So why don't we go ahead and make a motion to approve those two items? And we'll ask the applicant to come back and think about their driveway and their window at the back some more. So I'll go ahead and do that final motion. In the matter of docket number 21-09932, 115 Park Lane, in the Douglaston Historic District, a colonial revival bungalow style freestanding house designed by Norman McGlashan and built in 1914. This is an application to legalize construction of additions related to related alterations completed in non-compliance with certificate of appropriateness 069207. And I note that the building's style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the architectural and historic character of the Douglaston Historic District. I recommend approval in part, finding that the stone veneer cladding at the base of the addition porch recalls stone foundation seen on historic houses throughout the historic district. But plantings at the base of the house partially conceal the foundation, thus mitigating the impact of the additional excavation. I have to check on that, and expanding amount of exposed foundation. But the generator unit at the front facade is well screened from the street by year-round vegetation and does not detract from the architectural character of the house. And that the changes at these two areas don't detract from the architectural character of the house. And we'll take no action on the driveway and on the window at the rear. Okay. Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion?
Second.
All right.
Chair Carroll,
Aye.
Commissioner Chapin,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson, Commissioner Lutfi,
Aye.
Commissioner Master.
Aye.
With 8 in favor,
Nay.
I'm sorry, with 7 in favor and 1 opposed, the motion passed.
So that's approved in part. Please continue to work with the staff. All right, and that concludes our day. Thank you, everyone, for participating. And thank you, commissioners, for your hard work today.